Hey everyone, how's it going? Today I wanted to do a quick video explaining how Christ manifested in the Old Testament. So in the Old Testament, Christ himself was actually manifesting as an angel of the Lord before he was actually physically born on earth. So I found that pretty neat, and we can see this in the Old Testament in a few verses here. So if we go to First Chronicles chapter 21, we can see here that Christ himself manifested as an angel of the Lord here. So First Chronicles chapter 21, 15 to 17, it said, "And God sent an angel into Jerusalem to destroy it." Now I think that this angel was Christ himself, because if we look at verse 16, it says, "And David lifted up his eyes and saw the angel of the Lord stand before the earth and the heaven, having drawn a sword in his hand stretched out over Jerusalem." So keep that in mind, having drawn a sword here. And then if we go to verse 17, it says, "And David said unto God." So we can see here David speaking to God himself, and that's how we can see that this is actually Christ himself manifested as an angel of the Lord here. So if we go to First Chronicles chapter 21 verse 30, it says, "But David could not go before it to inquire of God, for he was afraid because of the sword of the angel of the Lord." You can see that word sword. Now we can connect this with what Jesus was saying in Matthew chapter 10 verse 34. It says, "Think not that I come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword." So we can see here with these connections and the fact that he was calling this angel of the Lord God, we can see that this was actually Christ himself manifesting. So that's pretty neat. And we see this also a few other times in the Old Testament. In Exodus chapter 3, verses 2 to 14. So in verse 2, it says, "And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed." I think that this angel here was Christ as well. Because if we look at verse 6, it says, "Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. So we can see here that this was Christ, because it's saying that he was God. So I do find that pretty cool. It's pretty neat. Christ himself manifested as an angel of the Lord in the Old Testament. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. All right, God bless.